were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You done it. Thank you very much, Robbie. We appreciate that greatly. Now entering the arena, class number one of our Angus heifers, shown by Owen Young. It's a February of 23 Angus heifer.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As we start out on the cattle portion of the show this afternoon, got a single entry in the first class. It's my understanding there'll be several of those throughout the night, but this one here is one that could stand some competition. She's extremely attractive in terms of her lines, her balance and symmetry, and yet she's good in terms of her depth of body, her roundness of rib, a female that's adequate in terms of her muscle for an Angus heifer. If I was to change her, I'd make her wider in terms of the range of motion, particularly in terms of her width of hog. But a good entry. He's done a nice job. Give him a round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner goes to Owen Young. And by being a single entry, he will also be our champion Angus heifer. We are now ready for class number two. Class number two, Charlet heifer, being shown by Waylon Van Devender. This heifer was born February of 23.
Gentleman, Charlet heifer, that's a single entry in this class. Obviously, she is one that has a great deal of muscle and mass to her. She's very square in terms of her build, good in terms of her rib and her body shape. And with that added power, she's still nice in terms of her head and neck set. Where I'd change her or modify her is she just gets awfully tight in terms of the way that she moves off either end of her skeleton. I'd like to see her more comfortable as she travels the arena, but he's done a really good job. Give him a nice round of applause.
Congratulations. Your class winner and champion Charolais heifer goes to Waylon Van Devender. We are now ready for class number 3. Class number 3, Kianina heifer, shown by Colton Stockstill, born March of 2023. One entry in the class, shown by Colton Stockstill.
Gentleman Silver Heifer, which is the first of 2 classes in the Key Show. She is very attractive in terms of her head, neck, and shoulder, and yet she's got some natural width and dimension to her. She's good in terms of her lines and balance, and she's very fresh in terms of her show ring condition. So I appreciate those things about her. You study her angles in terms of her joints and her feet and leg structure. Looks pretty good. She's awfully full out here tonight, and that's starting to get her to tight and tense in the top side of her spine. We'd like to relax her there just a little, but I think that's more than a feel issue than a structural issue. He did a good job. Give him a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, Colton Stockstill, your Class 3 winner. We're now ready to enter the arena with class number 4, our second and final class at Kianina. Entering an arena, we have Brooklyn Fletcher.
Young ladies, black heifer here. Obviously, she's a female that grabs your attention right from the onset for a multitude of reasons, and it starts with she is so attractive and show ring oriented in terms of her silhouette, her balance, and her profile out here. With that, she's powerful in terms of her ribs. She is really good in terms of her squareness and her muscularity, and then she just gets out and moves so effortlessly out here. One that I admire a lot about. Congratulations to you, young lady.
Congratulations, your class winner of class number 4 goes to Brooklyn Fletcher. We now will bring in the class winner from class 3, and we will have the class winner of class 4 showing for champion Kianina heifer.
Well, let's give these two canning exhibitors a big round of applause. They've done a good job getting these fit, dressed up, and brought them out on display. And while this is the first actual decision I've had to make throughout the evening, it's an easy one because there is one that is just very, very good and hits me quite hard for a female at the county fair level to have one on display that is as powerful, good-looking, and sound as the black heifer. She needs to win and does so quite easily. Congratulations, her. Silver heifer will be reserved. Congratulations to you.
Congratulations. Your champion Canine heifer goes to Brooklyn Fletcher and reserve champion to Colton Stogstill. We're now ready for class number 5. Class number 5, we have one entry in the class. It will be a single class of Herefords. One entry in the class being shown by Mark Grubb, and his heifer was born March of 23. Tension in the barn.
Young man's Hereford female is one that is obviously very bold in terms of her center body width, has a lot of internal dimension, and yet for a Hereford, she's extremely heavy muscled and square in terms of her build. For me, where I would change her is I'd lean her up in terms of her condition. I think that would make her appear fresher in terms of her front end and more refined, but definitely one that has some really good pieces to her. Give him a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner and champion Hereford, Mark Grubb. Now entering the arena, we have class number 6, a maintainer shown by Emma Hacker. And her heifer was born April of 23, class 6.
We've got a maintainer female here that you really have to appreciate and admire several of the qualities that she puts on display out here in the arena. It starts with the fact that she is super attractive, show ring oriented, has a great deal of poise and presence. Her muscle, her stoutness, her power, very, very good in those attributes. And she's overwhelming in terms of her body mass and her rib shape. So one that can stand a great deal of competition. You've done an outstanding job, young lady. Give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner of class number 6 and your champion maintainer goes to Emma Hacker. We are now ready for class number 7. Class number 7, our Red Angus. We do have 2 entries in the class. The first being shown by Oliver Young, and the second by Emma Hacker. 2 entries in the class, and it is a single class of Red Angus. So the class winner will be our champion, and the second will be our reserve champion in the Red Angus heifer classes.
Only 2 in the Red Angus breed, but both of the kids have brought us nice females, and this is a relatively close decision. I'll talk both the heifers first and then tell you which one that I like the best. The young man up at the front has got one that is really good in terms of the fact that I like how her head and neck set is on the top side of her shoulder. She's smooth in terms of her shoulder placement, one that's good enough in terms of her rib and her body. She wants to break and separate right behind her shoulder blade. That throws off her balance and proportion, and then she's a female that we need to see her a little more flexible in terms of the way that she goes, but I think she's just a little neater in terms of her side view silhouette. The heifer behind her of the young lady in the black shirt, obviously that's the one that has an advantage in terms of rib shape, muscle, body, and volume. She is one that's still adequate in terms of her refinement, femininity up front. In terms of her range of motion, she wants to get underneath herself just a little bit in terms of the way that she utilizes her rear hock. So there's trade-offs between the two. In a close decision, young lady at the back will have the champion, young man at the front will have the reserve. Give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations. Your class winner and champion Red Angus heifer goes to Emma Hacker. And second in class and your reserve champion Red Angus heifer, Oliver Young. Now entering the arena, we have class number 8. Class number 8, this will be our first class of shorthorn heifers. We have 1 entry in the class, being shown by Hallie Crouch. Her heifer was born in September of 23.
Young lady's roan female is one that is really good in terms of the fact that she's super refined and feminine in terms of her feature, really extended in terms of her head, neck, and shoulder, very long in terms of her balance, her symmetry, and there's enough to her in terms of her rib and her muscularity. The issue with the female is in terms of her general build and structural integrity, she's too tight and tense. And the top side of her spine, she doesn't get out and give and flex the way she needs to off of her rear running gear. But a really beautiful female that's been presented well and's got some power. Give her a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner of class number 8 goes to Hallie Crouch. Now ready to enter the arena with class number 9. Class number 9. One entry in the class being shown by Hayden Stevens. Her heifer was born in February of 23. One entry in the class. Your class is complete.
Young lady's red female is one that is super stout, very, very good and correct in terms of the fact that she is so square in terms of her muscle pattern. She's got a tremendous amount of breediness and rib. She's rugged and stout in terms of her bone, and with that added width and dimension, she's still very comfortable and flexible in terms of the way that she handles herself as she moves around the arena. In terms of a show ring aesthetic perspective, maybe a little deeper in terms of her chest, not as lean and feminine in terms of her front end look, but a really nice one as well. Give her a good round of applause.
Congratulations. Class number 9, class winner goes to Hayden Stevens. We now will bring back our class number 8 winner, Hallie Crouch, and we will show for champion and reserve champion Shorthorn heifer.
We'll give the two young ladies in the Shorthorn breed a nice round of applause, if you will. We've got two heifers out here that are pretty polar opposite in terms of their type and kind, and they both have a lot of good to them, something that we need to modify or correct. The heifer in the lead is one that is super attractive in terms of her balance, her profile. She's really got a great show ring look. I think she's more than ample in terms of her body shape and her muscularity. As I said in class, and I'll say again, in terms of her structural integrity and her build, she's got some issues because her spine, her hip, and her rear hock assembly, they just don't work properly, and it makes her want to be too tight and rigid in those areas, and it causes her to be a little uncoordinated when we put her in motion. The heifer behind her, very different. She is comfortable, she is flexible, she is built well, and then she is really stout and very powerful in terms of her body volume, her muscle, and her overall shape. She's not as ladylike in terms of her look up front, a little thicker in terms of her neck and deeper in terms of her chest, not quite as show ring oriented. So they both have a lot of good about them. They're very, very different. For those of you that have seen me or heard me judge before, you know structure is my #1 priority. The red heifer will be the champion. The roan heifer will be reserved. Congratulations to both.
Congratulations. Your champion goes to Hayden Stevens, and your reserve champion to Hallie Crouch. Now entering the arena, we have class number 10, and it is a Shorthorn Plus, being shown by Lydia Kerr. And her heifer was born March of 2023.
Young Lady Shorthorn Plus heifer is on the same line as two other ones that we've already seen throughout the show tonight. She's definitely one that has some tremendous parts and intriguing pieces to her, and it starts with the fact that she's just got brood cow written all over her in terms of her look, her body shape, and yet she blends so effortlessly in terms of her transitions out of her shoulder and into her spine. She's good at the ground in terms of her running gear. Everything fits well in terms of her proportions. She's still got some show ring look. So another really, really good entry. Congratulations to you, young lady.
Congratulations on Class 10 winner, Lydia Kerr, and also a single entry in the Shorthorn Plus heifers, so she will also be the champion of Shorthorn Plus heifers. Now entering the arena, we have Class 11. We have our Simmentals. We have 4 entries in the class. It will be a single class of this breed. Our entries are Lydia Kerr with her April 23 heifer, Reagan Stockstill with her March 20 heifer, Josie Jones with her March 2023 heifer, and Jalen Goodwin with her March 23 heifer.
Well, this group of four, very logical in how they work out. Young lady's heifer up in the lead is the one that definitely I gravitate to in terms of her show ring look and presence. She combines that with more than enough in terms of body shape and build, muscularity. I think she's good in terms of her condition out here. And why I'd like to see her a little more stable in terms of how she sets down in her rear pastern, she is still very easily the best built, soundest female of the group. So an obvious and a logical place to start. The heifer that comes in two gets there because there's more to her in terms of body and muscle than the heifer that comes in second, and she's better in terms of her range of motion off of her rear running gear compared to the class winner. She's too bold in terms of her shoulder, low set in terms of her shoulder placement, gets deeper in terms of her chest, and doesn't have the presence of the heifer that wins. The heifer in three is longer in terms of her side, she's level in terms of her lines, has a balanced look. She's the flattest ribbed and the lightest muscle one of the group, and that's why she ends up in third. The red heifer is obviously the heaviest muscled heifer of the group, and she's good in terms of her body. When she takes off right here, you'll see why she gets so far down. She is just entirely too tight and restricted in terms of how she moves off either end of her skeleton to get her up any higher. Give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations. Class 11 winner in the Simmentals goes to Lydia Kerr, and your champion Simmental, Lydia Kerr. And second in the class, Josie Jones, and Josie will be your reserve Simmental heifer. Third in the class, Reagan Stockstill. Fourth in the class, Jalen Goodwin. Now entering the arena, we have Sim Solution, class number 12. One entry in the class, and it's a single entry in this breed, and is being shown by Cruz Redden with a February 23 birth date.
This little guy's doing a good job with a heifer that's being a little bit of a pain for him to show out here, but he's not taking any flack off of her, and I like that. The heifer herself, despite her attitude, really good in terms of her body shape. She is extremely broody in terms of her kind. She's ultra good at the ground in terms of how flexible and comfortable she is out here. I like her condition in terms of her show ring readiness. She's a female compared to some of the other ones that we've seen that are in that more elite club. Maybe she's not quite as refined in terms of her front end, maybe not quite as long and extended there, but she still has a show ring look and presence about her. He's done a good job. Give him a nice round of applause.
Congratulations. Class number 12 winner. First in the class, and your champion Sim Solution goes to Cruz Redden. We are now ready to start our crossbred classes. First class of crossbreds, class 13, being shown by Elise Donnelly. Her heifer weighs 457 pounds. One entry in the class. Heifer weighs 457 pounds, and your class is complete.
Young lady's pewter color heifer is one that's obviously super long in terms of her body and her spine. She's level in terms of her lines and her balance. I think for her breed type and kind, there's enough to her in terms of muscle and rib. I'd change her in terms of the way that she moves off of her rear running gear, make her a little more correct in terms of how she sets down in her hock. But a good start to the crossbred division. Give her a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your Class 12 or Class 13 winner, Elise Donnelly. Now entering the arena, we have Class 14. Class 14, 4 entries in the class, ranging from 924 pounds to 1,052 pounds. Entries are being shown by Elise Donnelly, Emma Hacker, Reagan Hardesty, and Garrett Goodwin. Four entries in the class. Your class is complete.
As we move into this class, the black and white female is one that you really, I really think that she's very eye-catching in terms of her balance, her symmetry. She's super sharp in terms of her front end feature, and yet she's got a lot of power in her muscle. To be honest with you, on all four of the heifers, I needed to change something about their structural integrity, make them better in terms of their movement. And she's a heifer that she just gets too choppy and restricted in terms of the way that she uses her hog. But as I said, I can change something on all of them there, so we're going to let her win. This heifer is actually going to be second in the young man's. That's the deepest sided, boldest sprung female. She's got a lot of internal dimension and broodiness to her. She's not nearly as good in terms of the front 1/3 of her body as the class winner, and she's a heifer too that is one that's just too rigid in terms of the way that she goes out of her shoulder and knee. The heifer in third is longer sided, the snip-faced heifer here than the heifer that comes in two. Very strong down her top line. She's the flattest ribbed of the top three. free, and she's the lightest muscled. Watch her go from behind. She gets really tight, and how she goes out of her hip and her hind leg. The tiger striped American influence female that's going to end up in 4. One that you appreciate her for her length of body and her depth of side. She wants to get too upright in terms of her shoulder and knee, and then she's not as correct in terms of her lines and balance. Good class, lots of differences. Give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner goes to Emma Hacker. Second in the class, Garrett Goodwin. Third to Reagan Hardesty. And fourth to Elise Donnelly. Now entering the arena, we have Class 15. Class 15, we have Riley Martin and Reagan Connard. Their heifers weigh 1,266 pounds to 1,292 pounds. Immediately following this class, we'll be showing for champion and reserve champion crossbred.
Well, once again, we've got 2 that are heifers out here that are very different in terms of their type and kind. The Brockle-faced heifer is the one that I prefer. She is considerably leaner and fresher in terms of her show ring shape and readiness. She is the heifer that has more muscle expression. She's square in terms of her build, and she is more attractive as you study her through the front 1/3 of her body. Now, she's tighter in terms of her rib. She doesn't get out and go as nice as I'd like her to. And the heifer in second is one that is definitely deeper in terms of her side, bolder in terms of her body shape, a female that's good in terms of her length. The 2 issues I have with this heifer is, number 1, she's just too far gone in terms of her condition. You can see the fat deposits down there in her chest, up there around her tail head, the pones that she's got displayed. We've got to lean her and freshen her up, and then when we get her in motion, she too is too tight in terms of the way that she goes. Good pair of heifers, just very different in terms of their type and kind. Freshness sorts them out.
Congratulations. Congratulations, your class winner goes to Riley Martin, and second in the class to Reagan Connard. Now ready to show for crossbred heifer. Champion crossbred heifer from class number 13. We have Elise Donnelly. Class 14, Emma Hacker. And from class 15, we have Riley Martin, showing for champion crossbred heifer.
As they move these final two class winners in the crossbred division over there to profile, give all these exhibitors a nice round of applause for their efforts. Good division. I'll be honest with you, I need to change them all that are out here in terms of their structural integrity, the way that they're built and move, call that a wash and sort them from there. There is a female that stands out to me in terms of the attributes that she is really attractive in terms of her balance and symmetry. She's the heaviest muscled. She's not perfect in terms of her structure, but the heifer in the middle is the champion. Congratulations to her.
Congratulations, Emma Hacker from class 14 with her champion crossbred heifer. We should now have Garrett Goodwin coming in.
Young man that brings the second place in from that class, and we go to vie for reserve. I think the female that is most similar to the champion in terms of the fact that she still has some balance and symmetry. She's got enough muscle to her. I like the heifer that's standing in the middle that's actually out of class 3. Congratulations to him.
Congratulations, your reserve champion crossbred heifer goes to Riley Martin.
as these two young ladies lead these heifers around, this is for the champion and the reserve Monroe County bred female. We've studied them both in their individual classes and placed them earlier, talked about them. The one that I prefer is the heifer up front. She'll be the champion, young lady at the back will be reserved. Give them a nice round of applause. As we get out here to pick champion and reserve and the bred and owned, or the Monroe County bred show, give these three young ladies a nice round of applause. Really a close decision, and probably the closest decision that I've had to make so far tonight. And be honest with you, young lady at the back, you're doing a really good job, but these two up front, you're kind of swimming with sharks out here, because these are two of the better females that we've seen throughout the show. They have some differences in between them. The heifer in the lead is one that is probably just absolutely the best looking heifer that we've seen in the show. She's striking in terms of her presence and poise. She's so long and extended in terms of her side, and yet one that when you get in behind and on top of her, she's got plenty of muscle to her, and I still think that her proportions are good. When she came in the key show, she was just moving as effortlessly as you could ask one to. We get out here in this drive, she's wanting to be a little resistant in terms of how she handles her rear posture. I think it's more than fine in terms of soundness. The one thing that I change on the female is in terms of her depth of side. She is really round in terms of her ribs, so she pulls it off well, but she's not as deep in terms of her body or her flank as she needs to be. The heifer behind her is the obvious opposite. Obviously, that heifer's got all the rib and the broodiness and the body build that you could ever want in one, and yet she still too has a great deal of muscle and mass. She's not exactly perfect in terms of her structure either. She wants to short stride just a little off of her rear running gear, so I think structure is relatively close between the two. As you study her compared to the heifer in front, while she has a mass advantage, I don't think she's quite as good in terms of her look up front. Her shoulder placement isn't quite as high. She's not quite as striking as the heifer in front of her. So, and this young lady's got one that you like the length and extension to her. She just gets out massed out here, and so very, very close decision. Depending on which way you want to go, you've got one that's super good looking and show ring oriented, that's got enough to her. You got a stouty at the back with a lot of power, a lot of mass, maybe not as cool looking. I'll use the heifer in the lead to be the champion. Heifer in the second will be reserved.
Congratulations. Your champion, Monroe County born and bred, goes to Brooklyn Fletcher. And your reserve, Monroe County born and bred, Emma Hacker. Now ready to show for bred and owned. Should have 2 entries in the class and bred and owned. First one coming in is Jalen Goodwin, and the second one in the class is Riley Martin. Showing for champion and reserve, champion, bred and owned. I would at this time like to welcome and thank our queen and her court. We have our queen here to my right, Grace Richards. We have our first runner-up, Laura Carnegie. We have our second runner-up, Reese Oliver. And I don't know if she can hear or not, but we got Lacey Brenniger back there, Miss Congeniality. She's working down in the barn for us tonight. Thank you, Lacey. Thank you, girls.
So we get out here in the bred and owned division, 2 entries. The young people are doing a good job. I think this is a very similar situation in terms of the decision that I just had to make. One's stouter, one's more powerful, one's sharper featured and better looking. Both of these need to be better in terms of their movement, but they have a lot of good to them, just very different in terms of their kind. Being consistent, I'm going to use the better looking one of the brockle-faced young man's. Brockle-faced heifer will win, red heifer will be reserved. Give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations. Your champion bred and owned goes to Riley Martin. And your reserve bred and owned goes to Jalen Goodwin. We should now be ready for our Supreme Heifer Drive. From our Angus, we have Owen Young. Our Charolais, Waylon Van Devender. Our Kianina, Brooklyn Fletcher. Our Hereford, Mark Grubb. Our maintainer, Emma Hacker. Our Red Angus, Emma Hacker. Our Shorthorn, Hayden Stevens. Our Shorthorn Plus, Lydia Kerr. Our Simmental, Lydia Kerr. Sim Solution, Cruz Redden. And Crossbred, Emma Hacker.
Well, let's give the breeding heifer exhibitors a big round of applause as we get out here to pick the top 5. It's been a good show, a competitive show, and to be honest with you, I don't think there's a runaway winner at all. The 5 that I like are out here in the ring, and those are the ones that I saw in class or in breed, and I said, hey, those might play at the end of the day. And so, not to take away from the other breed champions that are out here, because they all have a lot of good in them, I'm only going to talk the 5 that are in contention. We started an hour and a half late due to the goat show running over. We still got a steer show and showmanship to go on, and so I'm going to try to condense it, but I do think the decision is that close that I need to describe those 5 to you. The first one that's in the mix out here is the Shipman's heifer here. She is one that's really She's very good in terms of her body shape. I like her in terms of her look up front. And probably of the 5, she's one of the better moving ones. I'm not going to tell you she's perfect the way she goes, but I think she's probably as comfortable as any of them. The problem with her compared to the other 5 is she's the flattest in terms of her muscle, and she's the frailest in terms of her bone. Another one that's in contention is the other Simmental female right behind her. You really like her in terms of her length. She's really good in terms of her body shape, a heifer that's still good enough in terms of her condition. In terms of her balance, maybe she falls out a little more than the other heifers because she wants to be a little off in terms of her proportions through the front 1/3 of her body, and she could sit down with more authority, more comfort in terms of her rear running gear. The Shorthorn Plus heifer right behind her, I love her from the point of her shoulder back. She is obviously the one that's the freshest out here, and she's the one that's the best presented in terms of the fit job. I really, really appreciate how she looks out here. She's tremendous in terms of her body. She's good enough in terms of her muscle for a plus heifer. She's one that I think, even though she struggles a little out of her hock, I think she's sound enough, but I could make her go differently there. Her issue comes in the front one part of her body. She's a little shorter and thicker in terms of her neck. She's fuller in her chest than some of them that are out here in the running, but that's still one that has some really good things about her. Then the other 2 heifers that are in the running are the 2 that we just talked about. One is this maintainer heifer here. We talked about her when we made that decision. She was the powerful female, and I think she is the most powerful one that we've seen. She's tremendous in terms of her bone and foot. She's tremendous in terms of her body shape. She's really, really thick. We talked about the fact she wants to get a little underneath herself in terms of her movement. She's starting to break and settle in terms of her top line, and we talked about that the front 1/3 of her not quite as the beater. Then we have the key heifer over here, striking, beautiful, refined, feminine feature. There's plenty of muscle and mass in her. She's wanting to get a little tight in terms of her pasterns. I realize that, but I can nickel and dime every single one of them out here that's going to make it into the top 5 in terms of their structure. I talked about the fact that I'd like to see her deeper in terms of her body and fuller in terms of her flame, but she's so round in terms of her rib, I still think she holds it off and puts it well together in terms of her proportions. So really good set of 5 heifers. The key heifer is the champion. Congratulations to you.
Congratulations, your Supreme Heifer 2024, Brooklyn Fletcher. And your reserve Supreme goes to Lydia Kerr. Supreme heifer, congratulations to Brooklyn Fletcher. Reserve Supreme, Lydia Kerr. Third in the class to Emma Hacker. Fourth overall, Cruz Redden. And fifth to Lydia Kerr. do believe we have only one class of cow-calf. Big showing by Hayden Stevens.
The young lady brings us the cow-calf pair out here. She scared off all the competition, but they're doing a good job studying the cow. She is really beautiful in terms of her length and extension up front. So refined and feminine feature, long and level in terms of her lines. In terms of her udder, I changed her a little bit in terms of her quarter placement. The calf is very good. The bull calf alongside sky out and square. So she's doing exactly what she meant to in this pair. Give her a round of applause.
Congratulations, your champion cow-calf goes to Hayden Stevens. We will now take a 15-minute break. At 6:45, we will walk our first class of Angus steer, our first class of steers into the arena. At 6:45, we will have Maddie Colley, I apologize. Maddie Colley, Harlan Van Diemender. In class 3, we will have those 4 entries as well. So at 6:45, we need classes 1, 2, You're now ready to start our steer show 2024. I get class number one. It's a single class of Angus steers being shown. It's one entry being shown by Maddie Polly. Her steer weighs 1,417 pounds. One entry in the class, and your class is complete.
Good way to start off the market show. Young lady brings us a high quality Angus steer that's very dense in terms of his body shape and build. He's been fed exceptionally well. He's good in terms of his cover out here. A calf that's got more than an ample amount of muscle for an Angus steer. If I was going to change him, I'd make him more mobile off either end of his skeleton, but still a very, very good one. Congratulations to you. Give her a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner and champion Angus steer goes to Maddie Polly. Now ready for class number two. Class number two, it's a single class of Charolais steers. One entry in the class. One entry in the class being shown by Harlan Van Devender. His steer weighs 1,416 pounds. One entry in the class. The class winner will also be our champion Charolais. And your class is complete.
Gentleman Silver Steer is one that obviously is really bold in terms of his center, in terms of his body shape. He handles good in terms of his finish. He's got more than enough muscle and power and squareness to him, and he's a stout bone steer as well. When we get him in motion, he wants to get too far outside of himself in terms of his skeletal movement, but still a very good one. He's done a nice job. Give him a big round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner and your champion Charolais goes to Harlan Van Devender. Now entering the arena, we have a single class of Chianina, class number 3. We have 4 entries in the class, weights ranging from 1,297 pounds to 1,356 pounds. Our entries are being shown by Henley Hill, Emma West, Harlan Van Devender, and Joby James. 4 entries in the class ranging from 1,297 pounds to 1,356 pounds, and your class is complete.
The black steer is obviously the really good-looking, show ring-oriented one of the four. That's one of the two really heavy muscled steers of the group. I like his shape. I like his freshness. He's stout in terms of his bone and feature. Everything fits and blends well. The steer's one that when we get him in motion, he gets himself in a little bit of trouble. First off, he's a little irritated at something out here tonight. That's not helping the problem, but you can see the way that he motivates and utilizes his rear hock. He's got to be more underneath himself in terms of the way that he goes, more secure in that particular area of his structure, but he's still easily the best one for me. The one that comes in second is one that is ultra big body. He is the heaviest muscled one of the group in terms of product and beef and shape. One, though, that as you'll study him in terms of his show steer look and aesthetic, he's too short and thick in terms of his front end. He's too bold and open in terms of his shoulder. Absolutely the best looking steer of the group is the yellow steer that comes in three. He's beautifully balanced in terms of his length of neck, his strength of top, and his lines. The KF is one that's not good enough structurally because he wants to come over in terms of his shoulder and knee, particularly on this also side, and then compared to the top two, he's not as muscular. The white steer's got a lot of length and a lot of power as you get in behind him. Watch him utilize his hind leg. He just throws it underneath himself entirely too much in terms of his range of motion, and that's the barest handling KF of the four, but a lot of power and a lot of length. Give him a good round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner. Your champion Kianina goes to Emma West. Second in the class and reserve champion Kianina goes to Henley Hill. Third to Joby James. And fourth to Harlan Van Devender. Now ready for class number 4. Class number 4. Our first class of dairy steers, one entry in the class, being shown by Rosie Macarat. One entry in the class, and the steer weighs 925 pounds.
First class of dairy steers, young ladies KF is one that's very balanced, got a lot of symmetry, very angular as you study him up front, excellent in terms of his strength to top and his length to silhouette. I think he's fairly mobile. We'll study him further in the champion drive. Give her a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner goes to Rosie Macarat. We are now ready for class number 5. Our second class of 3 of the dairy steers. Coming in the arena at this time, we have Bristol Condor and Gabe Elliott. Steers weighing in at 1,137 pounds, weighing 1,140 pounds. 2 entries in the class.
We're going to leave these two the way they came in. The young lady up in the lead has the steer that I prefer, and it starts with the fact that he is better in terms of his strength of top line, his balance, his lines out here. He's also the deeper-sided, boulder-sprung steer that's more correctly finished. The red steer is a little longer in terms of his total extension, one that's probably a little better in terms of his knee placement, one that's not as far along in terms of his market readiness, falls out in terms of balance. But the kids have done a good job. Give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner is Bristol Condor, and second in the class, Gabe Elliott. We are now ready for our final class of dairy steers. Coming into the arena, we have two entries in the class, ranging from 1,335 pounds to 1,352 pounds. Our first entry being shown by Carson Elliott, and our second entry being shown by Mallory Elliott. Two entries in the class ranging from 1,335 to 1,352, and your class is complete. Would like to once again thank and welcome our queen and her court. We have our queen, Miss Grace Richards. Our first runner-up, Laura Carnegie. Our queen's Miss Congeniality, we have Lacey Brenniger. And our princess, we have Miss Josie Jones. And I do believe that's all that's here right now, isn't it, Grace? Thank you. These girls have done us a tremendous job this week.
Going to use the young lady steer to initiate this pair, and there's just more to him in terms of his width, his dimension, and his squareness. I also think he's the neater, more attractive calf as you study in terms of his front end. That's a little more correct in terms of his hind leg. The gentleman's calf is longer-sided, perhaps probably even stronger in terms of his top line. He doesn't have the natural width and dimension of the calf that wins, though. Give him a nice round of applause.
Congratulations. Class winner, class number 6, goes to Mallory Elliott, and second in the class to Carson Elliott. We are now ready to show for champion dairy steer. Champion dairy steer. From class number 4, we have Rosie Macarack. From class number 5, Bristol Condor. And from that last class, class number 6, we have Mallory Elliott, showing for champion dairy steer.
Well, let's give these three young ladies in the dairy show a big round of applause. They're doing a good job out here. It's getting late in the evening. These cattle are getting close to feeding time. They're going to get angry and anxious here pretty quick. So I think a good set of cattle. I think there's one that obviously is the choice in terms of being the one that presents the most natural shape with the dimension. He is the closest in terms of his market readiness to being correct. Heavyweights, the champion. Congratulations to you. The young man brings the second in that was in that class. I thought that was a close decision. We'll stick with him to be the reserve. Congratulations to you.
Congratulations, your champion dairy steer goes to Mallory Elliott. And your reserve champion dairy steer goes to Karsten Elliott. We are now ready for class number 7. Class number 7, our first class of Hereford heifers. We will have 2 classes of Hereford heifers, or Hereford steers, excuse me. Class number 7 is a single entry being shown by Trevor Durnall. His steer weighs 933 pounds. One entry in the class, and your class is complete.
Young men's single entry in the lightweight Hereford class is one that's definitely long in terms of his spine, extended in terms of his look, fairly mobile in terms of the way that he goes. We could stouten him up in terms of his muscle, maybe make him a little further along in terms of his market readiness in both in terms of finish and weight. But a nut good steer will study him in the champion drive. Give him a round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner goes to Trevor Durnall. Class 7 winner, Trevor Durnall. Now entering the arena, we have class number 8. We have 4 entries in the class, ranging from 1,245 pounds to 1,335 pounds. The 4 entries are being shown by Kenley Wright, Morgan Caswell, Mark Grubb, and Isabel Grubb. 4 entries in the class, ranging from 1,245 pounds to 1,335 pounds. And your class is complete.
Once we get into the Hereford class here of heavyweights, the young lady that's going to win within the top pair of cattle that are very similar in terms of their type and kind, that's the one that has more natural mass. He's just a burlier calf of the two in terms of his muscle, his body, and he's one that's still good in terms of his look and sound enough in terms of his structure. Young lady's calf that comes in second, very similar in terms of length and levelness of lines. Just within the top pair, there's not as much muscle, there's not as much power or much bone. Young lady's calf that comes in third has got some muscle. He's been fed quite well in terms of his finish. The problem for him is he's just not correct enough in terms of the angle that he presents to his shoulder and knee. He's not good enough in terms of his range of motion. The gentleman's calf in four is actually the heaviest muscled steer of the entire class. And once again, in terms of his market readiness, he's there. Problem is he's really struggling to move off of his rear legs, particularly the show side hind leg, and a calf that's just shorter and thicker in terms of his neck. Not as attractive, but a lot of power, and he's been fed good. So give them all a round of applause.
Congratulations from class number 8, your class winner, Morgan Caswell. Second in the class, Kinley Wright. Third in the class, Isabel Grubb. And fourth in the class, Mark Grubb. Now entering the arena from class number 7, we have Trevor Durnall. And from class number 8, we have Morgan Caswell. We'll be showing now for champion Hereford steer.
Well, let's give the Hereford exhibitors a nice round of applause. Both of them doing a good job. Obviously, there's a great deal of difference between the two cattle, and in terms of just total market readiness, one that's got a lot more power. And look, the heavyweight's the easy champion. Congratulations to you, young lady.
Congratulations, your champion goes to Morgan Caswell with our Class 8 win. Will now come in to show for reserve champion from class number 8. We will bring in Kinley Wright with her second place animal.
Calf that was second to the champion. I talked that as a pair in class. Thought they were similar in terms of type and kind. Little things separated them out. Second heavy will be reserved. Congratulations to her.
And congratulations to Kinley Wright, your reserve champion Hereford steer. Now ready to enter the arena, class number 9, Braden Bailey, class number 9. It's a single entry. We will have 3 classes of the main NSU. His first class shown by Braden Bailey. His steer weighs 1,128 pounds. 1 entry and your class is complete.
lightweight steer in the first class, a main on Jews. The calf is actually one for his weight and stage of development, one that's very good in terms of his muscle shape. He's extra bold in terms of his center and round in terms of his rib. He's a big bone steer as well that still has some youthfulness and freshfulness to his look up front. I change him in terms of the way that he moves out of his rear hip and hock a little bit. But we'll study him in the champion drive. Give the young man a round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner goes to Braden Bailey. Now ready for class number 10. Class number 10. We have 3 entries in the class ranging from 1,304 pounds to 1,333 pounds. We have 3 entries in the class being shown by Abby Buchanan, Jake James, and Langley Hill. Three entries in the class, and your class is complete.
Could have really good few steers on top, and there's a lot of getting and differences between them. You can just slide one of them into the first place position. I'm going to use a gentleman steer because he's the one that I think is more correct in terms of his structure. He is definitely more comfortable, particularly although his outside shoulder line leg out here. He's one that's more correct in terms of the transition out of his shoulder and into his forehead. A bigger body steer that has more trim. I think in terms of his look, he balances well. He's not as cool fronted, he's not as long-sided as the kid that comes in second. And while I think there's an ample amount of muscle, the power advantage goes to the young lady steering too. That's the bigger back, longer-sided steer that's good looking up front, got an abundance of muscle from behind. If he would just utilize his rear leg better, he'd win the class, but he's simply not out here tonight, so I can't let him up any higher. The room steer is the one that's well-balanced and long-sided compared to the top two. He just doesn't have the power and the mass. Give him a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, our class winner goes to Jake James. Second in the class, Langley Hill. And third in the class, Abby Buchanan. We are now ready for class number 11. Class number 11. We have only 1 entry in the class, being shown by Waylon Van Devender. His steer weighs 1,408 pounds. Immediately following his class, we will be showing for champion Main Anjou. I'm sure you all have noticed the young ladies moving around the show arena taking pictures this evening at ekbrandcollective.com/photography. It's the Wilson family, and they have been to every show this week, spent the week with us. Thank you all very much.
In the heavyweight main class, the young man's doing a really good job showing this stocked-legged steer, and obviously you can tell from even outside of the ring that he is tremendously deep-bodied, very opened up in terms of his rib. He's got a lot of muscle, a lot of mass to him, and he handles good in terms of his finish. In terms of his show ring presence and look, that's where we need to change him significantly, make him longer, more extended, and neater through the front one-third of his body. Just give him a little more look and presence from the side view, but a lot of power, a lot of muscle, and he's been fed and shown well. Give him a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner goes to Waylon Van Devender. Now we will return from class number 9, Braden Bailey. From class number 10, we'll bring in our first place animal, Jake James. And from that class we just finished, we have Waylon Van Devender. Showing now for champion Maine and Jew. Would also like to thank Ryan Holmes out there at the corner. He's got cameras up. He is live streaming every show in the Livestock Arena this week. You can find him at Facebook, Monroe County 4-H, Purdue Extension, or you can go back to YouTube, Monroe County 4-H Youth Development, and watch any of these shows as you would please. Thank you, Ryan, for your time.
Well, let's give the Maine on Jew steer exhibitors a nice round of applause. The biggest breed so far. Kids have done a good job, and while all three of them have some positive attributes and things that you like and admire about them, there's an obvious choice to be the champion in terms of which one's the show steer. That's the calf out of the middle, young man. Congratulations to you. Young lady that's bringing the second place in from that class. I thought that was a close pair. This steer has some advantages over the one that won. He's just not moving good enough tonight, but he's still the second best one in this breed, young lady. You'll be reserved. Congratulations to you.
Congratulations, your champion Maine and Jew, Jake James. And your reserve champion,
Young Lady Spotted Steer is really a nice entry here. Calf that when you look at him as he first hits the gate, he's got a great deal of ring presence and poise. He's one of the stouter ones that we've seen in terms of his top shape and his power out of his hip. He's square from behind. He handles very good. Good in terms of his body. I think he's adequate in terms of his soundness. Maybe not perfect out of his rear hog, but that's a very good calf. Congratulations to you.
Congratulations, Class 13 winner goes to Lydia Kerr. Now we will be showing for champion Shorthorn. From class number 12, we have Trevor Stockstill. And from class 13, we have Lydia Kerr. 2 entries we're showing for champion Shorthorn steer. And your class is complete.
Let's give the 2 kids in the Shorthorn Steer Show a big round of applause. Got a good set of cattle. I think there's an obvious choice between the 2. Young lady, that spotted one's nice out here. He's going to be the champion. Congratulations to you. Solid red calf will be reserved. Give them both a round of applause.
Congratulations, your champion Shorthorn steer, Lydia Kerr from class 13, and your reserve champion Shorthorn steer from class number 12, Trevor Stockstill. Now entering the arena, we have class number 14. It is a single entry being shown by Spencer Buchanan, and his steer weighs 1,241 pounds.
Gentleman's Roan Shorthorn Plus steer is one that he's just really beautiful in terms of his balance and his show ring symmetry. So correct in terms of his lines. One that's very fresh and youthful looking as you study him at his head, neck, and shoulder. In terms of his muscularity or power, is he overwhelming in that aspect? No, he's not. But he's still a good calf. We'll study him in the champion line. Give this young man a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner of class 14 and champion Shorthorn Plus, Spencer Buchanan. Now entering the arena, we have class number 15, our Simmental steers. We'll have 3 classes of Simmentals. Class 15, entry shown by Mason Stevens, and an entry shown by Hayden Stevens. Their steers weigh 1,068 pounds and 1,087 pounds. 2 entries in the class, and your class is complete.
Well, this duo of cattle can go either way, depending on what you want to emphasize or what your preferences are, because they have pros and cons over each other within the pair. I'm going to use the young lady in the color block shirt to win. That's the one for me that's longer in terms of his neck. He's more correct in terms of his balance and his top line. He's more fashionable out of his hip. I think muscle is relatively close between the pair. I just like the look of that one more than the one that comes in two that has a muscle advantage, because he's bigger in terms of his top shape, he's quicker and square from behind, but he's also lower set and bolder in terms of his shoulder, shorter and thicker in terms of the front 1/3 of his body. But a good pair. Give him a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner goes to Hayden Stevens, and second class to Mason Stevens. We are now ready to enter the arena with class number 16. Class number 16. We have 3 entries in the class, ranging from 1,229 pound to 1,303 pound. 3 entries in the class being shown by Caitlin Goodwin, Riley Martin, and Jalen Goodwin. 3 entries in the class, and your class is complete.
This trio of cattle, I can change them all, and I need to make them all better moving, call that a wash, and sort them from there. The dark black steer has a significant advantage in terms of muscle, product, and he's the best balanced one, so that's why he wins. I realize he's too tight and rigid off either end of his skeleton, but his muscle and his look get him into the top spot. The young lady's calf in 2 simply has more power, shape, and body than the calf that comes in 3. He gets too deep in terms of his chest. He gets thrown off some in terms of his proportions and balance, but there's more to him. Young lady's calf in 3rd is probably a little better in terms of holding himself together, in terms of composed look on the profile, but he's the lightest muscled one when you get in behind him, and he's also the barest handling steer of the trio. 3 nice ones, really good class that the kids did a good job. Give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, class 16 winner, Riley Martin. Second in class, Jalen Goodwin. And third in the class, Caitlin Lynn Goodwin. We're now ready for class number 17. Class 17 have 3 entries in the class, ranging from 1,331 to 1,397 pounds. Our 3 entries are Garrett Goodwin, Abby Polly, and Cruz Redden. 3 entries in the class ranging from 1,331 pound to 1,397 pound, and your class is complete.
Well, in this particular class, I think you've got a nice pair of steers up front, and there's some difference between them, and it's actually probably closer than what some of you think around ringside. The steer in the lead, if we leave him stopped, that is the steer so far that we've seen tonight. Has a compelling look and presence. He is really stout. He is very shapely. He has been fed impeccably well in terms of his finish. So all of those things, you say, well, Judge, why is it close? Because when we get him in motion, he doesn't move good enough off of his hind legs. But I think it's acceptable within the pair, and I'd like to change him there. If we did give him a new set of rear tires, this whole show would probably be over, because I like a lot of things about that calf right there. Calf in 2 is sounder. He's more comfortable, he's more flexible, he's good in terms of his body, he's not nearly as classy and sassy in terms of his look and show ring presence, and he doesn't have as much muscle and power, but that's a sound, well-fed steer. That young man, you've done a really good job with him. Good pair. Close decision. Young man in 3, you've done a nice job too. You've got a deep-bodied steer that's been fed well, just in terms of a show ring standpoint, not one that is good in terms of his structure, the way that he moves, and he doesn't have the muscle of the 2 up above. Nice pair. Give him a good round of applause.
Congratulations. Class 17 winner goes to Abby Polly. Second in the class, Cruz Redden. And third in the class to Garrett Goodwin. We are now ready to show for champion Simmental. Class winner from class 15, we have Hayden Stevens. Class winner from class 16, we have Riley Martin. And first from class 17, we have Abby Polly. We're showing for champion Simmental steer.
Well, let's give the Simmental exhibitors a nice round of applause. A good set of cattle. It's getting late. I think they're fixing to fire up some race cars over there. That's going to make things problematic over here. So we'll make this short and sweet to the point. This one right here wins. The one that was second to him in that class is reserved. Give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations. Your champion Simmental steer goes to Abby Polly. And your reserve champion to Cruz Redden. We should now be ready for Class 18. Class 18, all other breeds. Class 18 now entering the arena. It's a single class of AOB. Steer weighed in at 984 pounds. One entry in the class, and your class is complete.
Young lady's doing a good job with a calf that, like I've been saying, it's past feeding time and they're not really trained to show at this time in the evening, and I understand that part. I appreciate her hanging tough and hanging with it. KF is very muscular and big in terms of his body. We're studying further in the Grand Drive. Give her a big round of applause.
We are now ready for our first class of crossbred steers, class number 19. Steers weighing from 1,130 pounds to 1,246 pounds. 3 entries in the class. Class is being shown by Reagan Connard, Garrett Goodwin, and Emmeline Pemberton. 3 entries in the class, and your class is complete.
First class of crossbreds. The red steer is obviously the heaviest muscled steer. That's the best finish when I put my hands on him. And with that, he's the most correct in terms of his body shape because he's the largest in terms of his rib. He's the stoutest in terms of his cage. A calf that we could make him a little better on the move, particularly out of his rear hock. Calf in 2 also has a lot of muscle. He's a big back steer that's thick from behind. He's not as smooth in terms of the way that he transitions out of his shoulder into his body. He's a little rounder in terms of his make and kind. Young lady's doing a good job out here, and when you got a 50-pound kid up against a 1,200-pound steer, it's never a fair fight. And I understand that because I was smaller than she was when I started showing, so I get it. She's doing a nice job out here. She's got the longest sided steer, the longest neck steer, but also the lightest muscled steer in the bear's finish. So we end up third, but her heart and try is really good. Give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your class winner, Emmeline Pemberton. Second in the class, Garrett Goodwin. And third in the class, Reagan Connard. We are now ready for class number 20. Class 20, we will have 4 entries in the class, ranging from 1,347 pound to 1,385 pound. Four entries in the class being shown by Braden Bailey, Raylan Fleener, Callie Stogstill, and Reed Patterson. 4 entries in the class, class 20. And your class is complete.
So we get out here in this crossbred class. Young man brings us a steer, much like the Simmental calf that we saw earlier. Standing there, you really have to appreciate just the pure mass power that he displays. That's a ginormous top calf that is so correct in terms of his body. He handles well. He's stout and rugged in terms of his bone, and then yet he's really got a cool look as you study him in just terms of an aesthetic show steer look. Right here's the problem. When we get moving, he wants to snap, crackle, and pop his pasterns, and that's there, but it doesn't prevent him from winning this class, and one that's definitely one of the more impressive ones tonight. After that, you can do very different things. I'm going to use this young man's steer to come in second because I think he's got the next most balance because he's really good in terms of the front 1/3 of his body. I think he handles pretty good in terms of his finish and his condition. He's obviously not as opened up in terms of his body shape as the next two. The young lady's calf that went out in third, a lot of muscle, a lot of power. He falls apart in terms of his look, his symmetry, because he's too bold and open in terms of his shoulder, too deep in terms of his chest. Little lady with the fun belt here, she's doing a good job with the calf. That's good in terms of his body. He handles good in terms of his finish. He's a calf, though, that structurally isn't good enough, and then he's the lightest muscled one of the four. But a good set, nice calf to win. Give him a round of applause.
Congratulations, Class 20 winner goes to Reed Patterson. Second to class, Braden Bailey. Third to Callie Stokstill. And fourth to Raylan Fleener. We are now ready for Class 21. Class 21. We have one entry in the class being shown by Brooklyn Fletcher. Her steer weighs 1,514 pounds. Class 21. One entry in the class, and your class is complete.
Well, this is the same song, second verse of the calf that won the last class. Great to look at, a lot of power, a lot of muscle, good in terms of his body, fed well. His ankles aren't as good as they need to be, so this will make for an interesting lineup here in the champion drive, but that is a heck of a good steer. Give him a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your Class 21 winner, Brooklyn Fletcher. We are now ready from class number 19. Class 19 winner, from class 19, we have Emmeline Pemberton. From class number 20, our class winner, we have Reed Patterson. From that last class number 21, class winner, we have Brooklyn Fletcher. We are now showing for champion crossbred steer. Champion crossbred steer.
Well, let's give the crossbred steer exhibitors a big round of applause. A good set of cattle. Young lady with the lightweight calf, the red steer. That's a good calf for a lightweight. He's running in some pretty deep water back here behind these two, so he's a little out-horsed. And these two are very good. And one of these exhibitors and one of these groups is going to be mad because they both came to win. And I understand it because I've been on that side. There are differences in the cattle, and because it is a close decision, and I'm sure a very important decision to both of those families and teams, we're going to describe them just a little bit for you. The young man's calf that came out of Class 2, that is a tremendously big back steer, and he has an advantage in terms of top shape over the calf that comes in number 2. He is also the one in terms of his body build and shape. I prefer him because he's deeper in terms of his body. He's rounder in terms of his rib. He is particularly fuller in terms of his flank than the calf that comes right behind him. He's a steer that actually has an advantage in terms of bone, foot, and feature size. In terms of his balance and proportion, he is still a good-looking show ring-oriented steer. Now, he is not as sexy through his front end as the calf that comes in behind him because he's a little thicker in terms of his neck. He's a little deeper in terms of his chest. Both of them have some motion issues, and I'm not saying either one of them are unsound, but when the level is this high, you have to give comparative notes between the two. That calf out of Class 2 is the more comfortable steer of the two, that actually holds his hock more correct in terms of his range of motion, but he just wants to snap, crackle, and pop those pasterns. He doesn't sit down with authority. The calf that comes behind him is just beautiful in terms of the front 1/3 of his body. That is as good looking a steer in terms of his head and neck. He keeps his chest floor so tight and up in him. And then that calf is actually, of the pair, the calf that is bigger out of his hip, stouter from behind, and has more muscle, even though he is not as stout in terms of his top side power. He is really good enough in terms of his body. I will tell you that he wants to cut up in terms of his rear flank. He's not as dropped down in terms of his rib shape. That wants to throw off his lines just a little bit. In terms of his movement, he is not as secure in terms of his pastern either, and then he wants to wobble and get outside of himself in terms of his rear hock. I like both of these cattle very, very well, and I don't want you to think that the things that I said about them in terms of what I'd change makes them any less of what they are, because they're both very, very good. The steer that I think is the better one is the black calf, and that's the champion.
Congratulations. Your champion crossbred steer goes to Reed Patterson.
Jim Main comes in and fight for reserve, but it's a foregone conclusion. The paint steer out of the heavyweight class will be reserved. Congratulations to her.
We should now be showing for crossbred, bred and owned. From Class 19, we need Garrett Goodwin. And from Class 20, we need Raylan Fleener. Showing for crossbred, bred and owned. Showing for Monroe County bred and owned crossbred steer. From that class 19, we have Garrett Goodwin. And from class number 20, we have Raylan Fleener. Showing for bred and owned.
Well, we discussed both of these steers and their individual classes, and when we get them out to compare for the champion and the bred and owned division within the crossbreds, the calf that balances up nicer is the calf in the lead. He'll be the champion. Young lady in the pink will be the reserve. Give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your crossbred champion, bred and owned, Garrett Goodwin. We're now ready for class 22. Class 22, market heifers. It'll be a single class, so the class winner will be your champion market heifer, and second in class will be your reserve market heifer. First entry in the class, Tucker Campbell. The second entry in the class, Tyler Campbell. Their heifers weigh 1,054 pounds, 1,130 pounds. Two entries in the class, and your class is complete.
Going to leave the market heifers as they come in. The young man's heifer is going to win. That is the heavier muscled, stouter, square built female that has a lot more muscle and power to her. And with that, she is better in terms of how long she is and extended she is through her head, neck, and shoulder. Now, the heifer that comes in two is the deeper bodied, softer sided one of the pair. That's actually longer in terms of her total silhouette. She doesn't have the mass and power of the heifer up above her, and she's not quite as attractive up front. But a good pair. Very close decision. Give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, class 22 winner, and your champion market heifer goes to Tucker Campbell. Second in the class and reserve market heifer, Tyler Campbell.
Hey, I was wondering if you could let them know that we will be doing awards
We're now showing from Monroe County, born and bred. Class 1, we So we have Maddie Polly in Monroe County, born and bred. We have Maddie Polly, Harlan Van Devender, Morgan Caswell, Abby Buchanan, Spencer Buchanan, and Abby Polly. Monroe County, born and bred. And we also have Emmeline Pemberton.
As we get out here to pick the champion, Monroe County, born and bred, give these kids a big round of applause. Nice set of cattle. Real easy decision. The champion Simi is the champion of this deal. That champion Angus is reserved. Give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, champion Monroe County, born and bred, Abby Polly, and your reserve champion Monroe County, born and bred, Maddie Polly. We are now ready for bred and owned. Bred and owned. Bred and owned, we have an entry by Trevor Durnall, Jalen Goodwin, Brecken Owens, and Tucker Campbell. We are going to move all of our awards to the end. So if we could start getting our steer drive worked up, we need to get our steer drive worked up. Our judge has got an early flight. We need to help him out where we can. So we will bypass the member awards for right now. We will drop back to them after the steer drive and showmanship is complete.
As we move out here to pick a champion bred and owned, I think this is an interesting decision, and to be honest with you, it can go various different ways. The one for me that I'm the most comfortable with in terms of a market readiness standpoint, combining that with some muscle, young lady right here is the champion bred and owned. The one right behind him will be reserved. Give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, Jalen Goodwin. Jalen Goodwin, your champion bred and owned. Brian, can you come here just a second?
So while we got a quick break in the action here, I just wanted to take a moment. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ben Lisby. I'm currently serving as the president of the 4-H board here, and we just wanted to publicly thank Mr. Rash for the job that he's done this week, for the patience that he's had with us, the education that he's given all of us, and first and foremost, the interaction that he's had with our kids. We can't be more thankful. The board has put you together a small token of our appreciation to be up here for you to pick up with some local souvenirs and gifts from Monroe County. So thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Showing for 2024 Grand Champion Steer, Monroe County. Our Angus, our champion Angus, we have Maddie Polly. Charley, we have Harlan Van Devender. Kianina, Emma West. Derry, Mallory Elliott. Hereford, Morgan Caswell. Maine Anjou, Jake James. Shorthorn, Lydia Kerr. Shorthorn Plus, Spencer Buchanan. Simmental, Abbey Polly. All other breeds, Brecken Owens. Crossbred, Reed Patterson. And market heifer, Tucker Campbell. Let's put our hands together for all these young exhibitors. They've done a great job tonight. I also want to thank you, Ryan. It's been great to work with you all 3 nights. Been around you, and you've done us a great job here in Monroe County.
As we get out here to name the top 5 in the Market Steer Show, I said this every night. Y'all are a really big crowd, but y'all been quiet at times. Give all these families and these kids a big round of applause. Very impressive steer show. Lots of quality here, and to be honest with you, I really like the top 5 that are going to win, but it's kind of cut and dried in terms of the order that they're going to be placed, so we get to that in just a minute. I know we still have showmanship left, but I want to thank y'all again for having me back. Like I said at the Hog Show, this is my second time in I think 3 years, so for some of y'all it was probably too quick, but I do appreciate it. The kids have been good to work with, and as they said, I have to be at the airport at 4 a.m. in the morning. I board at 5:25. I fly to another state, and I'm going to do this all over again tomorrow afternoon. So the late start was a little bit of a problem, but we've worked through it. The kids got a good look, and they've done a nice job. And the one thing that I do want to tell you kids before I leave, and if you didn't listen to anything else that I said all week, try to listen to this. This program will give you everything that you ever need in terms of skills, attributes, contacts, and connections that you make to be successful when you get out of the ring in the game of life. And so it is up to you, because you have had the privilege of being raised in the best junior program in the world, to take those attributes and take everything you've learned, apply it to what sets your heart on fire and what you're passionate about, and be a success. And if you do that, there's nothing that you can't do. So that's my hope for all of y'all. We get you a top 5. Give them a big round of applause. Young man, that crossbred steer is the champion. Congratulations to you. Young lady, that reserve crossbred is the reserve grand. Congratulations to you. This Simmental steer is going to be 3rd overall. Young man, I thought that was close. You're going to be 4th overall. Fifth overall is going to be my firework shirt wearing buddy right here. Congratulations to you.
Congratulations, your grand champion steer 2024, Reed Patterson. Your reserve champion, Brooklyn Fletcher. 3rd overall, Abbey Polly. 4th overall, Cruz Patterson. And Cruz Redden, I'm sorry. And 5th overall, Jake James. We should be ready for first year showman. First year showman, please.
Well, our judge going through our first year showman, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Ferguson Farm, Simmental, Izzy's Reynolds, the Heath Devender family, Holler's Welding, the Polly family, Kelsey Butcher family, Single Creek Shorehorns, Stevens Family Farm Supply, Trice Electric, Hill Family Farm,
Hill Farm, Mobley Farms, the Hacker family, Carmichael Cattle Company, Wright Family Farms, Naylor Trucking, the Tommy Martin family, Jake Young and family, R.H. Marlin Excavating, Joe and Kathy Van Devender, Walnut Springs Farm, Jiffy Treat, and Blue Stone Tree Service. Folks, all these adult leaders, as well as everybody that's worked down in the barn that you don't see up here working, put your hands together then. They've done a miraculous job tonight. I've had my brain sit right here beside me, and she's kept me in line and gave me numbers. Put her hands together for her. Thank you very much.
Well, as we get out here in the first year showmanship division, give these kids a big round of applause. They're doing a good job. These cattle are tired. These kids are tired. It's 9 o'clock at night almost, and I'll be real honest with you. I know which ones I like in terms of showmanship when I watched them go earlier. So we're not going to beat around the bush about this. Champion first year showman's this man right here. Good job. Reserves the young lady in front of him. Give him a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, Cruz Redden, your champion first year showman. And congratulations, your reserve champion first year showman, Josie Jones. Now, ready to enter the arena with our junior showman. Our junior showman now walking in. Somebody else I want to thank tonight, our queen and her court. I want to tell you what, folks, I spent a lot of hours with these girls this week. Everything I've asked, they've done. They've been here. I don't know the number of hours they've stood right here in this show arena and done things. They've jumped in, they've helped. They've not just been pretty girls standing on the side. They've helped us. Thank all of you.
Well, I think this is a very competitive group, and you can tell the cattle are over the show part of it, and so it makes it harder for these exhibitors to actually present at their best. And so depending on how you want to sort out showmanship, this can go one of two ways, because there are two of them that come to the top for me. I think one of them in the actual show, when their calf was cooperating, really did just a tremendous job. I think out here in this particular division right now, there's another young lady that the calf is cooperating more, but maybe she wasn't quite as on point earlier. So what is your definition of showmanship? To me, the purpose of being a good and a great showman is to be on point when the bunny and the banners and the buckles are on the line to give you an edge over your competition. Young lady with the black heifer's the champion. Young lady with the silver steers reserve. Give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your champion junior showman, Emma Hacker. And
Congratulations to your junior reserve champion, senior junior reserve
champion showman, Henley Hill.
We're now ready for intermediate champion.
Ready to show for intermediate showmanship, champion and reserve champion. I did forget to thank our ring men too, guys. Thank you much for helping out tonight. We appreciate it.
Well, let's give the intermediate set of showman a big round of
Applause. They did a good job all afternoon. Two of them I thought were very good earlier, and they're still doing a really nice job. This blonde-headed young lady's the champion. Young lady with the Angus right behind her is reserve. Give them a nice round of applause.
Your intermediate champion goes to Langley Hill. And your reserve champion intermediate showman goes to Maddie Holly. We are now ready for our senior showman. Ready now for our senior showman.
Well, as we come to the final decision of the night, give the senior showman a big round of applause. Excellent set of kids, really deep division, and as I told this young lady back here, I don't think she needs me to tell her how good of a showman she is. She knows she's the champion very easily. Congratulations to her. I'm going to use the young man up front with the roan calf to be reserved. Congratulations to you.
Our senior champion showman, Brooklyn Fletcher, and senior reserve champion, Spencer Buchanan. Let's put our hands together for all these young people. They've done a great job tonight. We're now going to step back a page to our awards. Going to step back to our awards now. If I could get all Beef Club members to the show arena, all Beef Club members to the show arena, any parents to the show arena, anybody that would like to stay for the awards. It's kind of a touching moment here this evening, so if you would, please stay and enjoy the awards with us.